Gather round, friends, for the tale of Lizzy Borden and the John Morse room. Lizzy Borden took an axe, gave her father 40 whacks. Lizzy Borden murdered her father, her stepmother, and her sister's precious little kitten with an axe, all in the same day, and somehow got away with it. Mrs. Borden was last seen alive by the infamous Lizzy Borden and Bridget the maid at 9 a.m. Mr. Borden was in Fall River, as was Uncle John, and Lizzie's sister Emma was out of town. Lizzie says she was downstairs ironing handkerchiefs. Mrs. Borden was eventually found lying flat on her stomach in a pool of her own coagulated blood. This room where she was murdered is the most requested overnight stay in the famous Lizzy Borden Axe Murder House and Museum called the John Morse Room. It's unclear how Mrs. Borden was approached. Was she standing? Was she kneeling? There were no defensive wounds. Could she not fight back? And why? We do know about the wounds. The first one came to her head, above her ear, on the left-hand side. The second one was between her shoulder blades and was 4 inches deep. The remaining 17 were to the back of her head and neck, for a total of 19. Ready to book a stay in the murder room? From the blood and stomach contents of both victims, they concluded that Mrs. Borden was murdered around 9:30 a.m., a full hour and a half before the death of Mr. Borden. If you look in the dining room, the photo on the wall shows this horrific crime scene. And if you look closely in the photo, the mirror hanging on the wall shows the reflection of the camera that took the photo. Did you know that this was the very first crime scene photo ever taken in the United States? How's that for a morbid fact?